420 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is right here. So hello and welcome to the Cannabis Show. My name's Producer Vince, and here's your host, Jake Brown.
Thanks, Vince.
What's up, brother?
Thanks to everyone tuning into the Cannabis Show who's asking, who is this guy? You may know me from The Couch, where I've been a guest, as well as my strain reviews and commentary for The Cannabist. I'll be attempting to fill the giant shoes of Ricardo Baca.
They were like size 8s.
What? Size 8s, eh?
Yeah, giant. At least, you know, for the little guy he was.
I don't want to know why Vince is measuring Baca's feet. That's fine. He was your intrepid host for over 90 episodes, but don't worry. We're still talking all things weed.
That is hashtag all things weed.
Yep, and that is the serious marijuana news along with the fun stuff as well. And if you visit thecannabis.co, after you're done with the show, you can find out who claims he perpetrated the infamous Hollyweed sign prank.
Doug Benson still swears it wasn't him.
You can read master cultivator Jorge Cervantes' top 5 strains.
Just say his name out loud a couple of times. It's fun to do that too.
It's a blast. And you'll also hear the story of a mother who believes that cannabis cookies saved her autistic son's life.
Thecannabist.co. Get there.
Yeah, but right now you're here with me and producer Vince. How you living, PV?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good about life lately, Jake. You know, I'm getting into this groove of things. Life's calming down. The new year started. Donald Trump is about to become the president of the United States any day now, and we're gearing up for that one, and that's happening. How are you feeling in the green share over there, big brother?
First of all, it's the wrong answer. If I ever ask you how you live in, it's mansions and Benzes. Thanks, Biggie. I love the green chair. First of all, nice swivel action. It's very comfortable. But honestly, I'm just excited to be here. We're going to have a really fun show, and let's just get to it. Let's get to the Week in Weed.
I am suddenly feeling like I should have stretched if I'm going to try to keep up with Jake in the Week in Weed, but let's try it all. Let's do this thing. Into it.
Stretching. Well, I want to start with an industry-wide issue that people I know are freaking out about, and that's MJ Freeway. If you've been to a dispensary, there's a chance MJ Freeway software ran the point of sale system used to conduct the transaction. But since Saturday night, it's not doing much of anything, as a cyber attack took it down faster than Russia allegedly took down the Democratic Party.
And this caught dispensaries across the country by surprise, mostly because the highway wasn't 420. Some had to close their doors altogether, while others were stuck writing orders by hand, leading to incredibly large lines. But what I want to know is, where'd the data go, dude?
That's a great question, and one that has a lot of people very concerned, as there's not only sensitive financial data that's stored in there, but also patient information on the medical side. Now, MJ Freeway is saying that all of the data is encrypted, so the company says it should be safe.
Should be safe, but that doesn't sound very reassuring for a company that was just hacked while being safe.
I hear you, and for what it's worth, the company is claiming the attack was aimed at corrupting the data, not stealing it.
So I guess the lesson here, and you know, grad students, back me up here, back up your data. Whatever you're working on, if you're listening to the show, you can do it without even having to pause and go back up your data.
Amen. Let's turn to DC, where Inauguration Day is fast approaching.
It is.
And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say people are fired up over a Trump presidency, but activists are also planning on firing up a lot of cannabis.
A lot.
4,200 joints to be exact.
And I'm only going to take 100 of those, brother.
I'm happy to take any of the leftovers. And that's perfectly legal there, where you can accept free weed from people. But smoking those joints on federal land during the inaugural address is not, which is the plan of many protesters. What was refreshing to hear is that the Democratic mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, said that arresting people for lighting up in public isn't the first priority of police.
Meanwhile, back here in Colorado, where public consumption is a ticketable offense, it's so weird hearing that that's something that people will actually get arrested for somewhere.
Tell me about it. I think I would have quite the arrest record here in Denver.
Yes, you would.
Moving on to California, police are actually seeing an influx of new pop-ups, and they're not talking about trendy restaurants with asparagus water.
Man.
No, the pop-up dispensary is all the rage after voters passed Proposition 64, which legalized recreational cannabis in the state back in November. Since then, a rash of new stores have opened their doors to anyone over 21 and not verifying their status as patients.
All right, everybody. Let's focus on that and what a big no-no this is under California's current laws, as the state is developing their licensing system, but it isn't really set to go into effect until January 1st of 2018. We talked about something similar in Canada with Mark Emery opening an illegal dispensary in Montreal and getting arrested in December. That's the Prince of Pot, for those who don't remember. So why do people keep doing this?
I think it's a combination of a few things, but mainly that people feel like they can get away with it. Look at California, and they have been playing whack-a-mole with collectives for so many years. So a lot of folks figure if they can just get busted in one location, open up shop across town. And you add to that the desire to get in early in the market, uncertainty over the future of legal pot under the new Attorney General, and there are a lot of people who figure now's the time to make a cash grab.
It really, really, really is the wild, wild west out there in the wiki wild west.
Totally. It reminds me of my early days here in Colorado with my medical dispensary before the state created all the regulations. And speaking of regulations, let's go to our cannabis policy and business writer, Alicia Wallace, with this week's Quick Hit.
Colorado has lost its pot czar. Andrew Friedman, the state's first and only governor-appointed director of marijuana coordination, is leaving his post for the private sector. He's starting a consulting firm with fellow state official Louis Koski, who stepped down as senior enforcement officer with the Department of Revenue. In the new venture, which is called Friedman and Koski, the duo aren't straying too far. They'll be advising government officials in newly legalized cities and states on just how to implement regulations for the cannabis industry. As for Colorado, Friedman's transition was planned. The state needed a director of marijuana coordination for only so long, he said. Now that Colorado is 3 years into recreational marijuana sales, varying state departments have a good grasp on their short and long-term approaches to marijuana matters. Although ethics concerns have been raised in the past when regulators jump ship to become members of the regulated, Friedman said this isn't an advocacy play for him. It's a matter of forming a good government firm. For The Cannabist, I'm Alicia Wallace with this week's Quick Hit.
Thanks, Alicia. And now it's time for our first guest. She is the co-owner of a cannabis tourism company and the founder of Puff, Pass, and Paint. Join me in welcoming Heidi Keys, everybody. Hey.
Hi, good to see you.
Pleasure is mine. Please grab a seat. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I love Puff, Pass, and Paint. I've been to a class.
It was a good time.
I did terribly, but I had a blast.
You know what's funny? I saw on Facebook that was 1 year from today.
What?
Yeah, it was Puppy Island. Remember, I think it was you that painted Puppy Island?
It was Puppy Island. I don't know if we ever got to the island. I was there with Josh Blue. We were filming something. It was an absolute blast.
I don't think, Jake, the Puppy a year ago was the Cannabis Show's bonding exercise at Puff, Pass, and Paint.
Ricardo,
it was our
Vincent
interns.
Oh, you guys. All right, so you had everyone
You've done several classes, yeah.
Yes, it's been a blast. So Puff, Pass, and Paint is taking off right now. Can you kind of walk me through the genesis of how this came to be?
Yeah, so we started Puff, Pass, and Paint here in Denver. I actually started it as soon as it became legal here, so it's been just a little over 3 years. And it started as a very fun thing that was kind of like, hey, I love making art. I was working as an artist. I love cannabis. Let's blend those two things. Kind of started as a little bit of a joke. And then it just took off really quickly. And so I had to find a larger space for classes, start doing multiple classes per week. And we now have classes in Denver, Portland, and DC, and then in January, so just a week from this week, so we're starting next weekend. Actually, we're starting in Las Vegas, and then San Francisco and Oakland as well. So we have 6 locations now, which is really exciting.
That's mind-blowing. And I remember there was like a kerfuffle about DC, because I remember seeing on Facebook somebody was trying to rip off your class, and I was like, I'm going to report them to Eventbrite and to the Facebook, whoever, Zuckerberg
You're very
directly.
loyal. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to have your back, but it sounds like that ended up being a positive experience.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is too, like, imitation is the most sincere sort of flattery. It is, but then directly copying someone's work or the content from their website or pictures of me or whatever is, illegal if it's copyrighted, of course.
Right.
But it actually did give me the chance to realize we do need to keep expanding. There is a market for this everywhere. I was kind of unfortunate in the circumstances because you don't want to have anyone pretending to be your company, especially because we're so worried about, when we expand to a new place, like, are we following the laws? Are we working with the community?
Right.
We want to make sure that that's like an important thing that we're doing as we continue to expand, so we're only furthering legalization, not hurting it. But yeah, I mean, it actually turned out really great, and we have a great base in DC, and like I said, the other locations now as well. So
that's so crazy. I love that you were like, it kind of started off as a joke, which I feel like some of the best business ideas kind of do sometimes.
Yeah.
When did you kind of know that it was turning from, you know, this kind of fun thing that you like to do into a business?
I mean, I think I had a couple of classes, and it was funny because the first interview I did was with Ricardo for the Cannabis, and I was so nervous. I remember, I think I was nauseous before I talked to him because I was like, oh my gosh, he's like this big deal. I'd seen him on TV and that sort of thing. And I think it's when I started to get press and more people were coming. They were having a great time and they were coming back. And then I realized this is something that's not only fun for me, but people really are enjoying doing this because it gives them the chance to be creative, even if it's not something they normally do, and cannabis definitely helps with that.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, I was so nervous going in because I just I'm not like a painter.
Right.
But watching everyone go through it, it was just like,
you
can see it was infectious.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. Everyone's having a really good time. They're being artistic, and they're not feeling judged, and that's a huge part of it. So.
Yeah, it did feel like a no judgment zone. So between this and between the tour company, I feel like I'm always seeing you with celebrities now. Can you talk about just some of the cool people that have been taking your classes lately?
Yeah, well, we did the thing with Josh Blue, which was amazing. That was so great. He did all of this cool, really abstract stuff. He was going to town. It was awesome. Margaret Cho came to a class, which was really cool. We did the tours with Tommy Chong, which was a really fun experience. So, yeah, we've had some really good people working with us and enjoying the classes and tours and that sort of thing. So,
what was it like hanging out with Tommy? Because when they did the Chong's Choice launch party out here, it was hilarious. So he's got all of these people lined up to see him. He sits in a chair, and I almost thought of him as Santa Chong, because everyone would just kind of come and sit on his lap or hang out.
I actually didn't get to meet him during the tour because I was teaching classes at that point. Okay. So my business partner Mike was, but yeah, he's a really nice dude who is actually very interested in talking to people and smoking with people, and everyone was very excited about that. So
yeah, so how do you kind of figure out how to get cannabis infused in these classes? Because I know it's really different in a lot of states, consumption laws, all of that. How does that work?
I mean, we're just making sure before we go to a new location that we're talking to a lawyer, figuring out what can we and can't do here. Primarily, you cannot guarantee cannabis in the cost of a class.
Okay.
So I can't say there's edibles included with your purchase. You can have that complimentary if you have a sponsor or something like that, but it can't be something that you're guaranteeing to your customers. So basically, that's the way to ensure that what you're doing is legal, and also having a space that is legal according to the regulations of the jurisdiction you're in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're always kind of working on something new, and I love it because it's what's Heidi gonna do next? What are you doing outside of the realm of painting? I saw you've got some new stuff going on.
So we have several different classes. We have the Puff Pass and Pottery class, which we have in Portland and Denver.
Puff Pass and Pottery?
Really fun. Yes. That. Some of them are hand building. Some of them are just glazing your own pieces. Both are really, really fun. We have.
Wait, do you make bongs?
Yes, actually. What? Oh my gosh. So it's so funny. Our teacher, she sent me a picture after one of the classes because I'm not there for all of them, but she was like, this guy made this bong and he wanted to try it in the class before it was fired or anything, so it was just wet clay that he had put together. But they all tried smoking out of it and it worked, so they were really excited about it, but it hadn't even gone through the kiln or anything yet.
So
but yeah,
everyone
just gets very excited and does very creative things, and I think that that's really cool to see because I don't think that there's enough art in life in general. So
yeah, there's kind of a whimsy about it, right? And you combine that with a little bit of cannabis.
Yes, and you're inspired for sure.
Yeah, cool. So you've got pottery going on?
Yes, we have the Puff Pass and Pincushion classes, which is, her name is Leslie. She's with Heathen Handmade, and she does these amazing cross stitches. And so she teaches you actually how to do a cross stitch. And, actually...
Oh, yeah, we have some
behind
of
there.
Hold on,
maybe not.
We have
Yeah,
samples.
okay. So this one is actually one that I did, and I can't sew, so I was really proud of this.
Was that your first one?
It was, yeah.
Okay, we got it zoomed in. All right, that is awesome.
Yeah. So you don't have to be an expert, which is really cool because they're teaching you, or the instructors are teaching you the entire time. And then we're also working on a possibly a creative writing class with Josiah Hesse, who's a writer.
He texted me about that. Is that what he's going to do?
Yeah. So we're going to collaborate on that together, I think, and that's going to be really fun. So
I told him you have to write weird weed fan fiction.
Oh yeah.
It's just like the Berenstein Bears, all of a sudden, they get, I don't know.
Yeah, I dig it.
That's so much fun. I love that. Is what a cool thing to make, and then give away as a present, or
yes, you have a piece of art that you've made. You can keep it. You can give it away as a gift.
I want to see some.
Basically,
So where are we at here?
That one is for San Francisco. That's the Muir Woods abstract piece. So we're going to be using that for a reference there. And then this one is Red Rock Canyon, which is outside of Las Vegas. So we're going to be doing
gorgeous.
this.
I want to go there.
You should go there. Yeah, you should go there.
I feel like I'm kind of there. I want to get in that.
So yeah, we always do
It's so
something
hard.
that's like kind of relative to the area and.
That's cool. Kind of like have a little piece of the
Right,
the
especially
pie.
if you're on vacation, then you have like something that's a memento of where you went to take home with you. So
Absolutely. That's cool. Where do people find you online?
puffpassandpaint.com.
Don't go to any of the imposter websites.
Right.
It's
puffpassandpaint.com, yep. And then through ColoradoCannabisTours.com. And then we also now have CannabisTours.com, which is our national expansion. So that's going to be in California, Las Vegas, Boston, and we're going to have hotels and tours and other events as well as Puff Pass and Paint there. So
That's wild.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, I want to talk to you more about the national stuff in just a minute. But now let's go to our own Professor Pat with his latest entry into the new Cannabis Lexicon.
Blunt. See also Dutchie. A hollowed out cigar which is then re-rolled with weed. The name originally came about because the most commonly used brand of cigars were Philly's Blunt. A blunt only becomes a Dutchie when it is rolled using Dutch Master's brand of cigar. A newer and many argue less authentic version utilizes a specially made rolling paper called a blunt wrap rather than a cigar. These wraps come in a huge variety of sizes and flavors. Blunts are known for being very long-lasting and thus suitable for parties, often burning for a half an hour or more. Tobacco avoiders might want to pass on the blunt as they do have some nicotine content due to the tobacco wrapper, which adds to the effect for many non-smokers. Commonly, quote, first of all, you get a fat bag of ism from Uptown. Any local store sells the shit, friend. Purchase a Philly, not the city of Philly, silly punk. I'm talking about the shit called the Philly blunt. Lick the blunt and then the Philly blunt middle you spit. Don't have a razor blade? Use your frickin' fingertips. Crack the bag and then you pour the whole bag in. Spread the ism around until the ism reach the end. Take your finger and your thumb from tip to tip, roll it in a motion, then the top piece you lick. Seal it, dry it with your lighter if you gotta. The results, proper.
Thanks as always, Professor Pat. And our second guest joined us for the third ever Cannabist Show. Since then, he sold his grow to Willie Nelson's company and is making history in Louisiana. It is my pleasure to have Ian Seeb back on the show. Hey!
Hey, man.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Have a seat.
Hi.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is amazing. Ian, I have to know, what's in the box?
Well, Jake, it is your first episode as the host of The Cannabist, and you and I go back a long ways, and so I just wanted to bring you a little gift to welcome you to the show. First, I have for you, I know you tried it a long time ago, but I brought you a vapor slide. It's the first vaporizer that you can hit both dry or invert and put into a glass bong.
Wait, I don't know if I've... It's ceramic glass cartridge, ceramic coil. This looks awesome. How do I use? Well,
I will show you. So to go along with it, I figured I'd bring you a bong. We're doing a little partnership with Grav Labs, and so I actually haven't opened this yet, but here for you is your own piece. So if you screw that, I don't know if you got the cartridge.
So okay, this looks like it screws into this.
Correct.
Look at, I don't even need instructions in there.
You really don't need instructions.
All right, and then I would just insert like that.
And then you can just take gigantic milky white hits with any standard 510 threaded cartridge. We make our own cartridges, but for the first time, you can take what you've traditionally put into your mouth and stick it in a bong and
get through
and have
some water
and filtration and cool it down a little bit and
there's
get
all these
much bigger
voltages
hits.
on here. That's tremendous.
Yeah, man, it's variable voltage.
Awesome.
Which voltage do you recommend?
I like to stay on the cooler side, so I tend to use the lower settings, but if you need to crank it up or you want to get really thick, milky rips, you can do that. So do it, heat it up, heat it up. I mean, by all means, you can definitely
Heidi is going to jump over Ian if you don't let her take a look at that real quick. I'm just saying.
Here, take a look.
This is awesome.
But, yeah, welcome to the show. You guys have been a great resource for the
cool.
industry and for people who are interested in cannabis, and figured You needed a welcome gift.
Thank you so much. I think it's, I'm a little moved right now. That's so sweet of you. Let's just get over it. Know me.
Okay.
Ian.
Yes.
So you sold your Grow to Willie's company. Said, you know, I'm gonna focus on consulting, which I just assumed meant I'm gonna vacation for a while. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna take a minute with your new wife. Instead, you're making what I would consider history in Louisiana. What can you tell me about this Southern University deal?
We're very honored to be working with Southern University. The whole thing has really, when we sold the business, we decided, you know, as you know, I have two partners, Kayvon Khaled-Barre and Nick Heiss. And when we sold the business, we unfortunately could not retire. We're still very much working. And we decided that we really wanted to change kind of the focus of what we were doing with consulting and not only help people who are seeking licenses, but really push forward our advocacy and what really got us started with Denver Relief. So as you know, we played a key role in Initiative 300, the neighborhood-supported cannabis consumption pilot project, bringing social use.
I can't believe you just did that. You nailed it, man.
I have to practice, I'll be honest. It's taken me a long time to get that down. But we brought that to Denver, and now following up on that and really focusing on progressing social change, we had the opportunity to work with Southern University to help them identify who they're going to make their cultivation or really their operating partner in Louisiana. If you want, I can give you a brief overview of the program and how it all works, but it's really, really fascinating that for the first time ever, universities are going to be directly involved in the regulations within a state.
And that's what kind of blew my mind, right? Is that it's totally different from any other state's program. Yep. So can you explain how that works and what the university specifically will be doing there?
Sure. I will do my best to explain it.
Thank you.
The way that it worked, well, going back, originally this was only going to be something that was afforded to LSU, to Louisiana State University. And Southern University had to really lobby hard to be included in the program. And it was decided through the legislature that unlike traditional programs, I'll step back and say there's been medical marijuana laws in Louisiana for many years. But
not really a program, right?
That's right. It was on the books, but it was impossible to enact because it was still illegal to cultivate. And it was, so how are you going to get your cannabis?
Yeah, they're up there with like New Jersey in terms of just terrible medical programs.
Terrible medical programs. Yes. Yeah. They're on the books and they can say, hey, we've done something. But in all reality, they're thwarting the opportunity for the regulated program to exist because of the laws stipulating or prohibiting the fact that you couldn't grow or distribute cannabis. And without either of those two things, the industry simply cannot thrive. And so Southern was afforded the opportunity to begin cultivating. And there is now, within law, the opportunity for both Southern and LSU to become cultivators. And there's going to be 10 dispensaries spread out through Louisiana that are going to be able to take the cannabis that is cultivated and then processed and sell it in its end use and in the final products that are going to be available for medical cannabis patients in the state.
So that's I'm still like trying to wrap my head around it. Like, what was your role, or what was Denver Relief Consulting's role in figuring that out, and what's your involvement going to look like moving forward?
So we didn't play much of a role we didn't play any role in helping define the regulations for the state of Louisiana and in determining who. Which universities were going to be involved, LSU and Southern. Southern came to us after it was determined that they were going to have an opportunity to participate in the program. And Southern is an agricultural school, but has never been involved in the cultivating of cannabis. And so they reached out to a bunch of organizations and were really interviewing a number of different consulting firms and groups of people who claimed to work within the cannabis industry and helping identify best applicants. And so there was a number of consulting companies that they spoke to. And from what I understand, the vast majority of them, because this is a for-profit, the way it's set up, it's a for-profit model, there were a lot of consulting companies speaking to the university about the opportunity to generate profit. Well, similar to what we've done with Denver Relief, we've never been solely focused on profit. From day one, we set out, we wanted to help people, and we wanted to help change people's opinions about cannabis. We want to help change the negative stereotypes associated with cannabis users. And so that's become a part of our message to potential clients.
Calling card, they recognize that, they want to say, hey, how can we move forward? You guys step in, and now is that an ongoing relationship?
Yeah, so now it's an ongoing relationship because of the fact that we were involved in social change and really moving the needle forward on ending prohibition. They thought that we would be a good partner. And so now we're working with the university to develop the RFP that they're then going to put out when it comes time for applications. And so rather than, we're kind of taking a different role, instead of being an applicant as we've done traditionally with our clients, we're going to be working on behalf of the university to seek people coming in to apply for those licenses to effectively become the cultivation or managerial partner for the university. And it's really, I can get into it, it's really unique the way the university works, but they have a foundation that essentially deals with things like housing and deals with their dining room and deals with a lot of the administrative pieces that run the university. And it's this foundation, and so we're actually being hired by the foundation, who will then be responsible for receiving the revenues that will then go into furthering all of what Southern does.
Okay, so it's a nice little kind of Rube Goldberg machine of making sure that this cannabis, money, it goes to the right place. What kind of products are they going to be developing? Am I correct in understanding that there's no smokable marijuana allowed in Louisiana?
Yep, you're exactly right. There's not going to be smokable cannabis. It's going to be all infused products, topicals, capsules, lozenges, things of that nature, transdermal patches.
Interesting.
But they are not going to have smokable cannabis, which is not different from many other states that are putting forth legislation.
Yeah, it's weird to kind of see that evolution, see which states go more almost pharmaceutical with their medical cannabis laws, as opposed to states that are more like, yeah, if you need to smoke or use a vape or get some concentrates, it's all kind of out there.
And this is really getting into the pharmaceutical side. One of the things I failed to mention a minute ago is those 10 dispensaries are all licensed pharmacies in the state of Louisiana. So only licensed pharmacies are going to be able to
is this like a
distribute
Walgreens
cannabis.
Thing? Like you go to the Walgreens and you're like,
that's exactly
drive through.
You're exactly right. And that's that's the way that it works in Connecticut right now. There's only licensed pharmacists that are licensed to distribute the cannabis, and so we are going to see for really one of the first times in America that licensed pharmacies are going to be distributing the cannabis in the state of Louisiana that is cultivated by either LSU or Southern University. It's really fascinating, and to take it a step further, the opportunity. What I get really excited about with this, if you can't tell, is that this is, we're dealing with a state and an area that is predominantly people of color. People of color, and people that have generally been traumatized and been a victim of what we know now as the failed war on drugs. And so the opportunity to bring this back to the people, to make minority inclusion a part of the application, and to say, if you want to be a cultivator for Southern University, how are you going to incorporate people of color and people who have been mostly affected by the drug war and bring them into this and give them an opportunity to participate in the upside of ending the war on drugs. And that's something.
And being a historically black college, that's fascinating.
Exactly, and it's never been done before, and so I think that's really it's really getting us excited from a social change perspective, and the opportunity to mandate that there's going to be minority inclusion, not mandate it, but make it a part of the application, and give points for those applicants who are seeking to be more inclusive is something that's revolutionary, and to this point hasn't really been done in cannabis regulation.
Yeah, watch out, University of Mississippi.
Coming for you.
Is the Green Team going to be involved in any way? I know that that's another big part of what you do in the community, whether it's cleanup after 420, meals, doing e-car farms. Is Green Team going down to Louisiana?
Perhaps.
Okay.
More importantly, is that I would like the Green Team to be a part of what's going on in Louisiana. Ultimately, the applicants themselves are going to need to show a level of community engagement. And if there's an opportunity for the Green Team to help with those companies once they've been established, we're there. We want to contribute in a positive way, but more importantly, I want to see these companies that are vying to become the operational partner, and we as a company want to see the applicants that are ultimately going to become partners with Southern be good stewards of the industry and showcase community engagement. And so whether that's the green team or somebody else, I'm not doing this to beat my chest. I'm doing it because it's an opportunity to further the industry. And so I would love for it to be the green team, but I'll be happy if anybody who is granted a license to cultivate for the for Southern University is involved in giving back to their community.
I just want more green team shirts out there.
Whenever I wear mine,
people go nuts.
Next time I come on the show, I will bring you a plethora
I'm like,
of green team
all
shirts.
I got was this amazing bong. I don't get my
I'm sorry. I failed miserably. Next time,
I want one too.
brushes,
I want one.
t-shirts.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring Heidi back in now. So Ricardo would always ask people, indica or sativa. I want to start off with something a little different. I want to ask all the guests, what do you prefer between flower, edibles, concentrates? Start with you.
You can start.
Okay. I would think ladies first, but I will start. I am a flower man through and through. I've been smoking since the early 90s. You know, I like the edibles. I like the concentrates.
There's fewer and fewer of us.
I'm a flower man.
Do you have a favorite flower right now? What are you smoking on?
Honestly, I saved up a little bit when we got rid of Denver Relief, and my favorite strain was and is Ultimate 91 Chem Dog, and so I kept.
You got a stash jar still?
I kept a legal supply. I am still a licensed cannabis patient.
Right.
And my wife is an adult over the age of 21, and so we only have what we're legally allowed to possess. But yes, I saved a ridiculous amount of Ultimate 91 Chem Dog that I consume on a nightly basis.
Awesome. Heidi, what about you?
I was always a flower person. I've been smoking like half my life now. My mom always gets mad when I say I've been smoking since I was 15. She's like, I had no idea. So apparently I did it really well when I was a teenager. But I've always been a flower person. But recently I've been making my own edibles.
Ooh.
And that's because I have my own legal home grow now, which has been really cool. So I've been using my trim to make my own edibles, and so I've been getting really into that. So I still really enjoy the act of smoking. Like, I love packing a bowl. I love being able to pass it around to people. But I've gotten really into edibles recently. So
what are you making? What's your favorite recipe right now?
So my mom has a
You're making your mom's recipe with the weed?
classic chocolate
Does your
chip
mom
cookie
know that you're
recipe.
making?
Yeah, she knows that I've altered it just a bit.
I love it.
Yeah, but that's usually what I make. So I always bring those to parties, and we have friends over or something like that.
It's crazy because edibles are all my mom will do. She won't do like flowers. She doesn't any of that stuff. She doesn't dab yet. But edibles, she's just like, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Right. Well, I think it's something that's so familiar because even if you've never smoked edibles, they're like, oh, I love eating cookies. So like this is this is just a cookie. You know what I mean? Like obviously you have to be careful with dosing and that sort of thing. But it's more familiar to people, especially of like maybe a little bit of an older generation. So yeah.
So I wanted to ask you both. You both have experienced the challenge of being a cannabis business in Colorado and now expanding. So can you talk to me and really maybe give some advice to people at home that are like, yeah, you know, maybe I'm in this state, I'm in Oregon, but I want to go national. What were your biggest challenges getting started? We'll start with Heidi.
Basically just looking at the laws of the state or the county or the city that you're in and making sure that you're following them. I mean, whenever we expand, my goal, like I said, is to further legalization. I don't want to hurt it by doing something, you know, that's not in accordance with the laws.
By giving away 4,200 joints on the National Mall?
Right. We want to make sure that we are presenting ourselves well and legally. And so it's just talking to lawyers who are familiar with the laws there, making sure that you're following all the different laws. From state to state, for what we do, they really don't vary that much. Right. But it's just, you know, making sure that you're in accordance with all of those things and respecting the cities that you're going into. And like you talked about, being involved with the communities too is a really big thing because you want to make sure that you're in this for the right reasons and continuing to further legalization and normalization. Just getting that conversation going and changing the stigma.
I like that. So, what about you, Ian? You guys have been active all over the country, and so...
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit different for us because we're somewhat following what's happening on the legislative track and the way that as states seek to change their laws, we follow suit and we attempt to set up business there. And we've been very fortunate in that we've always been kind of a word of mouth business. We haven't done a lot of advertising, we haven't done a lot of marketing. We've been very lucky and we've been smart about the way that we've grown. And so people are generally contacting us immediately upon hearing that cannabis is coming to their state, and so it's afforded us the opportunity.
Call ENC.
ENC. Yeah. I was trying to say Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we can clear that.
ENC and Ghostbusters don't have. Sorry.
We need more. Yeah.
No, this is totally a parody of appropriate use.
It doesn't fit in.
Yeah, so I mean, it's got to be one of those things where, you know, legalization, or, you know, November, you know, mid-November, your phone's just ringing off the hook. Hey, we got all these new cannabis laws. How are you going to help us?
Yep.
Are there people that are like trying to get out in front of it? Or Heidi, do you have people that are like, hey, I'd like to, you know, have my own chapter of Puff Pass and Paint?
Yeah.
And then it's like, how do you get, because, you know, I don't think it'd be Puff Pass and Paint without you. So it's like you have to find somebody who can like try and match that.
Right. And I mean, we have like, we've been super, super lucky that everyone that we work with is so passionate about what they do that it's like my enthusiasm in like a million other people, because they actually really do care and they believe in what we're doing. They believe in legal cannabis, they believe in art, and they believe it's a great combination. So like for us and our tours and everything as well, everyone is very enthusiastic about it. But it's about finding those people in other locations who care just as much. And I think the enthusiasm is a big part of it. I mean, I think that's why I started out small and have succeeded, is because I really legitimately do care about what I do and love what I do. If you've taken a class with me, you know that, because I just laugh the whole time. Like, not in a stupid way, but I'm having fun.
So, yeah, absolutely. So. Very cool. All right, well, it's that time. It's time for the pot quiz.
All right, here we go.
I've been studying.
Okay. Well, since you've been studying, let's start with Ian. Really here we go. Are you ready for question number one?
Now I'm a little nervous because I was lying. I wasn't studying.
All right, here we go. The man who claims to have committed the Hollyweed prank turned himself into authorities, but which canna celebrity claimed to give him a pound of weed? Was it A, Willie Nelson, B, Snoop Dogg, C, Miley Cyrus, or D, Tommy Chong?
Man, I have no idea. I didn't even know that he turned himself in.
I didn't know that Miley Cyrus was
a
canna celebrity at this point.
Have you not seen, like, just Miley ever?
Do you not follow her Instagram?
Okay, maybe like the last couple years. But yeah, when the Hollyweed sign thing happened, she said, I knew this was going to be my year, and got so excited.
Really?
I'm like, why does that make it your year?
I missed it. I'm gonna go with B, Snoop Dogg.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Heidi, you have an opportunity to steal. Was it A, Willie Nelson, C, Miley Cyrus, or D, Tommy Chong?
I'm going to go with Miley, but I don't know. Miley, I guess.
All right, Ian, it goes back to you. We've got Willie Nelson or Tommy Chong.
Well, I'm guessing it wasn't Willie Nelson, so I'm going to say D, Tommy Chong.
It's Tommy Chong.
Okay.
All right, I mean, yeah, you flipped a good coin on that.
We're not good at this.
I'm also like, if that was true, hey, Tommy, don't narc the guy out. He's got a pound of weed and he just got out of jail. That's not legal.
No. Well, he might be a patient.
Right. But even then, I mean, isn't that a pretty high count in California?
You would think, yeah.
I would think.
Isn't it 2 ounces for patients?
2 ounces in California?
It's not a I don't think it's a pound.
The collective state of California is just screaming right now. But thanks. We'll check back with you, California. All right. Heidi, you're up. This is question number 2. A senator in which medical marijuana state is looking to nearly double how much cannabis producers can grow?
Oh.
I'll give you a hint. It's in the Southwest.
Oh, Southwest.
There's no like clock or anything.
I'm gonna say, is it Arizona?
I'm sorry, it is not Arizona. Ian with the chance to steal.
Man, I am definitely not up on my cannabis news as though I thought I was. In the Southwest.
I mean, there's not a lot of other options.
Nevada.
I'm sorry.
That was one of the other wrong options.
New Mexico.
Oh, I was going to say that next.
Yeah,
because it was one of 3. So.
Right. Which makes sense because they don't have a very robust program and they've been battling it for a number of years and they've been trying to get it up and running. So it makes perfect sense. I would like to change my answer to B, New Mexico. Yes.
Yeah, I believe it's a 450 plant limit, which is kind of rough, especially considering I think he wants to move it to 1,000. Wisconsin. I just don't hear a lot about New Mexico's program.
I was
is
thinking
why neither of us
Arizona
knew.
because they tried so hard to legalize recreationally. I thought maybe their medical laws were changing. But
Yeah, that would make sense, right? Okay, we didn't quite get there with recreational.
right, barely.
Stock
I
up
think
on
it was
medical.
like 49% or something like that. It's crazy, yeah.
All right, back to
And I
Ian.
forgot about it because we don't really
You don't know nothing
hear
about
about New Mexico very often.
Awesome. All right, Ian, Attorney General nominee and Republican Senator Jeff Sessions, everyone's favorite around the cannabis, is in the midst of a Senate confirmation hearing.
Right now, while we tape this.
Right now. How many terms has he been elected to serve in his home state of Alabama?
Too many.
I'm going to need a numerical answer.
I'm going to say 7 terms.
Wow, that's a really long... No, I'm sorry, that's not correct.
No.
How long is 7 terms as a senator? That seems like too many.
About 2.
Okay.
Still feels like too
We're going to go
many,
back to
but-
Ian.
It's somewhere in between there.
I'm going to go with 5.
And back to Heidi.
4.
That is correct.
Oh, yeah.
That one would have just evolved into random number guessing.
Yeah.
You guys nailed it.
Next time we'll do it Price is Right style. Just do
Absolutely.
it with one answer each.
We are now tied at 1 point apiece.
Oh, my God.
And
We
our
are not
So
doing
this is
so
a real horse race here. This is a real
I
horse
thought you
race.
said we could edit this and reshoot some of this.
Oh, never. We're going to go final question. Heidi gets to start. Another multiple choice question. Which state is expected to triple production of hemp in 2017? Is it A, Colorado, B, Kentucky, C, Oregon, or D, Virginia?
I almost want to say East Coast. Is it Virginia?
I'm sorry, it is not.
Ooh.
Ian with the chance to steal.
It is Kentucky.
It is Kentucky, that is correct, and Ian Seeb is our winner. Congratulations,
Thank you,
sir.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank
Kentucky's really trying to get a robust hemp program going on there.
cool.
They're saying it's going to really dwarf what we're doing here in Colorado just because the climate's so much better for hemp out
Interesting.
there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd heard that for like southern East Coast. Yeah. So.
yeah, we forget that, I mean, we're kind of in the desert here, so good on you, everybody in Kentucky. Thanks again to Heidi Keys and Ian Seeb for joining us today. I'm Jake Brown, and for producer Vince and the entire Cannabis Show crew, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win, I'm all in, I'm calling any posse you'll be raising at the end, I say it again, ain't afraid to get in, I be going for the jackpot with aces in my hand, I'm raw.